All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back for another week of Just a Fan podcast. And we have again another week of division by division talks. As you can see by the title, 2025 NFC North Thoughts. NFC North Thoughts, that means the Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings. And like I said on my screen underneath my name, 8 weeks for division by division talk. So tonight's show, we have a Bears fan and a Lions fan, and I expect this thing to be spicier than ghost pepper. All right? I expect this to be very, very spicy. But let's go ahead and introduce everybody. You know who I am, Coach Williams. 8 weeks for division by division talk, the NFL Encyclopedia, the Wildcat quarterback that runs this whole thing. That direction, Panel 316, the good guy with the black hat. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I can't call it. We're going to talk about this black and blue division. The NFC North is a storied division with a lot of
longevity.
How can you say a lot of vitriol, a lot of angst, a lot of disdain for each other.
Yeah, but they also have a lot of longevity too, because these four franchises, especially the Lions, Bears, and Packers, been around for a long time. Like they go back pre-Super Bowl era.
Yeah, some of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. In fact, the oldest rivalry in the NFL is the Packers and the Bears. They play more games against each other than any two teams in the league.
Yep.
Fun fact for those who didn't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring our guest on first. Hailing and representing the hey, what's up, Eric James?
What's up, E? What's up, E?
First of all, representing the Platinum Lions out of the 313, we have our good friend Nate Parliament.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me back this year.
Hey, man. Hey, you did a great job last year. I'm going to tell you now, for those of y'all who are watching at home, if you are a guest on our show and you do a great job, there's about a 99% chance we're going to ask you back. So yeah. if you get if you're a return guest, then that means you knocked it out of the park the previous year. So welcome back, Nate. Thank you for coming back and talk about your Lions.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, so let's bring on our second guest. This is my man, 20 Grand, representing the Shy. He represents the Chicago Bears.
So easy.
My man, Antoine Wood is in the house.
Yes,
He's going to be talking about his Bears tonight.
Yeah,
we had a Packers guest that was supposed to be on tonight, but she wound up being really ill. Shout out to Eva. We hope you get better. And yes, you got a spot next year on next year's show for the NFC North. So just get better. Don't worry about the football right now. Just get well, okay? But yeah, let's get into it.
Even get better. All right, so gentlemen, we want your overall thoughts on the entire division this upcoming season. Just general thoughts. This is not a prediction type thing. This is just general thoughts. Nate, we can start with you on this one, man.
Okay, so I would say my overall thoughts on the division are.
What's up, D.O.?
Kind of a repeat of what I thought might happen last year. I thought it was going to be a bloodbath. I thought it was going to be close. And you know, it was close. It came down to the wire between the Vikings and the Lions. Two 14-win teams for the division. So, and I don't think any of us picked the Vikings to do that well, if I'm remembering right. So they, good coaching goes a long way for them, and they're going to need it with the rookie quarterback and everything. So they're kind of a wild card to me. They've got good pieces, but I kind of like the Bears to take a little step up. I don't anticipate them finishing in last place. Not a spoiler, I guess, but the Lions, I still hope come out on top. I think that they've got enough firepower to do so. But the Packers, I do not like their coach. I think he's a very intelligent guy, just personality wise. He grinds me the wrong way. But I would just say, I think the Lions, the Packers, and I think the Bears are going to they're going to have some growing pains early on, but I think they're going to finish strong and make things close.
Okay.
All right.
Twan.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a grinded out season, but I think it's going to be up to. I honestly had Detroit 1 and Bears 2. Honest talk to start off with. I think we're going to, like you said, come up towards the end of the season and make it difficult. But I do have Green Bay 3rd and Minnesota.
You didn't have to give us your pictures yet.
Oh, my bad.
What's up, Jay?
What's up, Jay? All right, so and Jay, since you are the semi-quasi guest on here, you represent the Vikings. You can say whatever you need to say. As I just asked the gentleman what their overall thoughts are for the division, and when you put your comments up, we'll make sure that they get noticed by everyone. My thoughts on the division. So Pando and I, we were on the Lions bandwagon way back when they had the close loss to the Ravens on a game-winning field goal that Tucker made that 66 or 67-yard field goal.
Tell them who you talking about, because I know who you talking about. Dude. The folks at home may not know who you talking about.
Right. That was what? Well, was that 2021 or something like that? 2022?
It was roughly 4 years ago.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Somewhere in that range. And it was also the same season when they, I think, tied Pittsburgh or something like that, or beat Pittsburgh. It was something like that. And we realized that, hey, if Detroit keeps going in a positive direction, they're going to get to a good point. And they got to a good point, but now so much so that they have lost 7 coaches, including coordinators on both sides of the ball. So now my question is like, okay, with you guys losing 7 coaches, like that's a lot. You lose both coordinators, you lost a defensive line coach, and you lost like 4 other guys. I'm like, that's a ton. Yeah, you got the players, but like the play calling is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? And so
it was a lot to lose.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot to lose. And I understand. The success of when your team has success, they pluck. They pluck from the 49ers. When the Cowboys won those 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, they pluck from them. They pluck from New England. So, teams are always going to pluck from winners, and rightfully so. The Bears built that offensive line this offseason, and they hired Ben Johnson. I expect a significant leap from them. Green Bay, Matt LaFleur has a good run design, and rightfully so, because he comes from the Shanahan tree. But I think now we need to find out who Jordan Love really is. Is this going to be his third season starting? So we're going to really find out who Jordan Love is at quarterback. Defensively, they've been through changes. I still don't think they have enough defensively, because there's just some pieces I don't like over there. Minnesota, to me, is interesting because Kevin O'Connell knows how to get the most out of his quarterbacks. He knows how to get the most out of his quarterbacks. So that's what he's going to do. So I think offensively they'll be fine. I'm interested in their defense because I love Flores. Okay. I love Flores, and I'm interested because they bought in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. I know those two guys are in their early 30s, but I wonder what that's going to look like when Flores running that defense. I'm highly interested in that. So that's my thoughts on the NFC North. You got anything?
Yeah, well, you kind of stole my thunder on a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback on add a couple more things. First thing first, starting with the Lions. The loss of all those coaches is concerning. Is very concerning, especially your coordinators. I mean, but that goes with the territory. When you're a successful franchise, other teams are gonna start poaching your coaches. That's just gonna happen. The biggest question mark about Detroit is not the roster, it's not the quarterback play, it's can Campbell replenish that level of coaching on his staff? If the answer to that is yes, which I think he's a pretty good judge of coaching acumen because he put that original staff together. I think he can do it again, but it's still a question mark because I'm right most of the time, but I've been wrong before. That Sonic and Knuckles are still there. Okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I feel like is kind of underrated, is still
definitely.
And they've done a lot of things. Go back to my notes. They've done a lot of things in the offseason to kind of help that defense, like DJ Reed, who's a really underrated corner. He's played for the Jets. He's come in for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue, like I said, it's not the roster. I think the biggest thing is going to be, will Campbell be able to replenish the level of coaching? And quite frankly, I think he can, but this division probably will be the toughest one in the NFC. And I'm not going to get my picks till later, but I see there maybe being a game or two difference between all four teams. Like that is going to be that close.
What's surprising?
Moving on to the Bears. The Bears did everything right this offseason. Everything that was wrong with them last season, they went out and addressed. Caleb Williams showed flashes throughout the season, but he was running for his freaking life for most of the season. And it's like, okay, well, let's go out and get some linemen for this guy. Then they turned around and doubled down and bringing in Luther Burden in the draft. That was an underrated draft pick. Now, there is a question right there. When they brought in Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, and Tyler Warren was still on the board, that was the head scratcher. That one right there was the head scratcher. The defense was not ranked very high, but Chicago's defense is actually better than their ranking. If you're on the field almost the whole damn game, you're going to give up some yards and you're going to give up some points. They were still top half in points allowed. They were at the bottom in yards allowed. But, I mean, 3 and out, turnover, 3 and out. The defense is out there. They're going to get gas and they're going to get ran through later on in the season. In the game, excuse me. So I think that defense, if they have time to rest and they're able to do what they need to do on offense and maintain ball control, if they're able to do that, then we're going to see better numbers from the defense. I don't really think the defense was that bad. According, you look at stats, sometimes stats can tell a little bit of a lie. Moving on. The Vikings, my concern with the Vikings is, again, the roster's pretty good, but what is J.J. McCarthy going to be in the NFL? That's the big question mark. Mm-hmm. He got all the pieces, T.J. Hawkinson, Jay Jetta, Jordan Addison, dogs.
Aaron Jones at running back.
Dogs, okay? That defense is going to get you the ball back. They're going to get you the ball back. but what can you do with the ball with all of these weapons that you have? So that's the big question mark that I have with the Vikings. Moving on to the Packers, I think that Jordan Love, it's time for him to take his next step. He's going to have to take that next step because, one, this division is getting tougher. Ain't no scrubs in this division.
Nope.
There is not one team in this division that's a scrub. Okay? Unfortunately, there's going to be some people that ain't going to make the playoffs in this division, but that don't mean that they scrubs. There's no scrubs in it. Like, you can look at some other divisions, like look at the East. The Giants, they scrubs. You know what I'm saying?
Look at the AFC South.
They scrubs.
Look at AFC South.
Yeah. You know, don't get me started talking about that. But this division doesn't have scrubs. That's why I say the difference in this division is going to be a game or two between all four teams. But it's time for, I digress from my original point, it's time for Jordan Love to take the next step. He has to, because the competition is getting thicker. And in a little bit, I'm going to read the strength of schedule of these four teams. You're going to see what I'm talking about. They playing some tough teams. The division is tougher, and they're playing some tough teams. All right, Jay Weezy, I think everything is set in place for the Vikings. I was never a believer in Sam Darnold, but Kevin O'Connell's a good coach with good quarterbacks like Shanahan. Look, I got tongue-tied. Yes, and Brandon would he vindicates your point because he said the same thing. He's like, Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. But when you got Brian Flores running that D, it's crazy how they hype Jaden Daniels the way they do, but bash Caleb. Look at their stats. Yeah, I agree, but Jaden Daniels did have a better offensive line. I think Caleb can be as good. And I was down on Caleb Williams.
Actually,
I was.
Let me say something.
I sat down and watched the games, and I'm like, okay, he's flashing. He just ain't got a lot of protection.
Jaden Daniels had a better offensive coordinator, play caller.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Cliff Kingsbury, and I know it's not. I know we're not talking. I know this is going for the NFC North, but real quick, Cliff Kingsbury grew up throughout the season. He grew up as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, because in the beginning he was screwing up, and I don't know who tapped him on the shoulder to change some things. But somebody tapped him on the shoulder, just like somebody tapped on Kellen Moore's shoulder up there in Philadelphia and said, we need to fix some stuff. So that's
Stop doing this. Do this.
Yes.
What's going on? Detroit fan man. Hey, what's going on? Got a Detroit.
Oh, we got a Detroit fan. Okay. What's up?
Let's go.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Brandon, what's your thought? Oh, Jordan Love beating the Cowboys in the playoff is literally the only reason why we talk about it. No, that's not a bad take at all. Because he has a tendency to do erratic stuff and fold later on. Like, we talk about Jordan Love, but let's be real. And Brandon, I know it's going to be a sore spot for you, but in that playoff game with Jordan Love, when they decimated the Cowboys, a lot of that was on the ground.
It was on the ground. Oh,
it wasn't Jordan Love. It was really.
It was on the ground.
They ran the ball down Dallas' throat,
No,
and then Dak was turning over the ball. So yeah, they had a short field, but it wasn't Jordan Love. And then he had an opportunity to come back and beat the Niners in that playoff game, and threw like the most ill-advised cross-the-body interception to Dre Greenlaw I've ever seen.
Quarterbacks got to stop doing that, man.
Thank you, God.
Quarterbacks got to stop doing that, man. You cannot throw the ball across the body, and you cannot throw the football across the field.
Because I felt like they was going to come back, but like when he did that, I was like, oh, I know he did. Yeah, there you go. All right, now get down, Dre. Get down. So, but I digress. That's my point about Jordan Love. It's like he's gonna have to take a step this season. So just that's a quick synopsis in my mind of the NFC North based on that. But this division is tough.
It is.
They are tough. There's this year there won't be any scrubs. Like, to my point, the Bears, they got Ben Johnson. That's gonna help the maturation of Caleb Williams. I think, and I know Nate hates that because I hate it. Look, I'm a Niners fan. They poach our coaches all the damn time. So I hate watching our coaches walk out the building. I hate seeing it. So I know how you feel, Nate, especially as one as good as Ben Johnson. What I think, though, it may take a little bit of time to get, whenever you bring in a new offense, it takes a little bit of time to get that stuff to jail.
Agreed.
Now, let me ask you a question, though. How much of a new offense is it going to be? Because my thing is this. Are you keeping the base stuff that Ben Johnson did? Because Ben Johnson did a lot of trickery this past season, okay? Yeah. I get what you're saying. And I think they promoted from within. So I think they at least keep the base of the offense.
You're talking about in Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit.
Okay, because you had me, I was confused for a minute.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
When you say new offense, you talking about Chicago?
Well, no. I'm talking about the new schemes for both teams, for Chicago and Detroit.
Well, Detroit, but let me ask you a question. Do you think the scheme changed that much in Detroit? Because because my thing is this: if you promote from within, usually the next guy tries to at least keep the same thing going. I'm not saying
advisable, yeah.
Yeah, so I got some thoughts on that actually.
Go ahead, please, because you're the guy.
Okay, so like from a coaching standpoint, you guys brought up that's number one question. I think that's number one question for sure. Is anytime you have that much attrition from the coaching staff, it's the potential for big issues. The thing that gives me some confidence, because I'm worried about it. Don't get me wrong. I do not like losing Ben Johnson, and I don't like him pulling an Anakin Skywalker going to the dark side in division. That's a little dirty. That makes me a little mad. I don't know if any of you watched. I don't know if any of you watched Ted Lasso, but there's a coach on there that goes over the team that wears black, and like he's the bad guy, you know. But the thing that gives me confidence is, so they brought in John Morton, who is a guy who I'd kind of forgotten about, didn't really know all that much about to begin with, but he had been on Detroit's coaching staff the first year that Ben Johnson was offensive coordinator, as an offensive assistant. So he was there when they were designing the Ben Johnson offense, and he was a big voice there because he had previous coaching experience. So you've got that. He was John Morton was with Sean Payton back in the Saints era when they were high-flying Saints offenses with Drew Brees. Okay. And he was in Denver with Sean Payton again when they were kind of using Bo Nix as a game manager. It's kind of what I saw him as. So they're trying to bring this young quarterback up. But to me, I think John Morton's going to be a good fit because, one, he already knows the system. The terminology shouldn't be that different. Formations, even, pre-snap motion should all be pretty familiar. And he's going to lean on Jared Goff. He's said as much that Jared Goff is going to have a voice in how this offense is run. So I think those are some things on the offensive side of the ball that give me some confidence. On the defensive side of the ball, where we lose Aaron Glenn, we promote from within. We bring Kelvin Shepherd up, who's kind of cut from the same cloth. He's a former player, hard-nosed, defensive-minded. Obviously, he's a defensive coordinator, but played defense in the NFL, and had strong relationship with those players already. So, and then they bring in a defensive line coach. I always forget his first name. Last name's Rogers. First name's not Kenny.
Is it Casey?
Casey.
Yeah, I've heard of Casey. Casey, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been in Arizona and maybe even Pittsburgh.
I think he was actually a defensive coordinator for the Jets for 3 years as well.
Okay.
If I'm remembering right. So he's got some of that coaching experience where Calvin has the enthusiasm. He knows the scheme because he's been right side by side with Aaron Glenn. So I think we're going to have consistency even though there's moving parts. So I do have some confidence with that.
Oh, he was in Dallas. Okay.
See, this is why, ladies and gentlemen who are watching and listening at home, when we cover your division, we want you to come in and represent for your team, especially when you're as knowledgeable as Nate, because Nate, you shared some things with me that I did not know. I knew they promoted from within, but let's see, it's kind of wild in Detroit now, though, right? A few years ago, chance to fire AG heard during games. Now he's a guy who somehow missed the whole Osama bin Johnson. Anybody Okay, but no, to the point that I was making, I knew they had promoted from within. I knew that much, but Nate shed some light there, saying that he was there when the actual offense was installed. So that really answers a question. That one of the biggest questions I had in my mind about Detroit, and that gives me a little bit more confidence in what they are. Again, going back about 4 years ago, nobody saw Detroit coming.
No,
except for me and Brandon.
Yeah.
Me and Brandon was the only one. You go by. I know it's a lot of video to go through, but if you go on our channel and go back a few years, like, hey man, Detroit coming.
Yeah.
I said right here in the show, I said, hey, Detroit coming.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you had confidence before I did.
I heard him say it. I heard him say it.
Yeah, and everybody's like, man, what you talking about? Hey man, Detroit coming. Brandon's like, yep.
Yep.
So okay, but Twan, give me some thoughts about what's going on with,
I really don't. My only concern really is I think Ben's going to help Caleb out a lot. So it's going to springboard him a lot further than what a lot of people think. My only concern is the run scheme. We never could. Nothing Eberflus did was just bad scheme. The people weren't bad runners. They did bad scheme. So I think that's going to be my only concern, and I think that's being worked on fiercely with the offensive line beefing up. That'll give us a whole nother look, which is why I think we might press for number one towards the middle of the season.
But you know what?
Well,
I wouldn't hold on, and we got man, these comments are coming in good. Jay Weezer said, like Eric said, all the records will be close, and it's really gonna come down to when these teams play each other. When the Bears play the Lions play the Packers play the Vikings.
These divisional games.
Yeah, those divisional games.
Everything's on the line from
battle.
Yeah, week one.
Yeah.
We swept last year, but I don't think that's happening this year.
No, I don't think anybody's sweeping anybody.
Nah. Matter of fact, it could all possibly go 4-4, something like that. Maybe 5-3, 3-5, somewhere in that range. I think all 4 teams can probably pull that off. But going back to Twan, you saying that you was concerned about the run scheme. You gotta remember, you bringing in Ben Johnson, who just came over from Detroit. And if you remember, if you know their run scheme, because I think their run scheme was primarily outside zone. At least that was I feel like that was a day one install. That's probably what you guys going to be doing. You guys, I'm
hoping it translates to Swift. I'm hoping it translates. I hope it does.
It probably will.
My eyes on it.
Swift got to stay healthy. Swift got to stay healthy. Also, Eric had, and I'm doing like a 7-minute rewind. Eric has said something about the tight ends being drafted. I get what you're saying, but sometimes it's preference. I know.
Scheme fit.
Huh?
Scheme fit.
Yeah, scheme fit. It's preference, scheme fit. So that's probably what it was. I know it's questionable. I get it, but it's like you said, it's probably scheme fit. Detroit fan man said, plus Morton brings his best friend David Shaw to assist. This offense should continue. And David Shaw, I think it's the guy that used to be at Stanford with Harbaugh, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think it's the same Shaw. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's that's a bonus. As well. Jay Weezy, I knew they were coming. Good online, good running back and receivers. The defense was getting better every year. He must be talking about the Detroit Lions.
Right.
He's talking about Chicago. Is he? I think he's talking about Chicago. You talking about Chicago, Jay?
No, he's talking about Detroit. He said he knew they were coming.
I think he's talking about Detroit.
Oh, okay.
The O-line is question, right? Are you talking about whose O-line are you talking about, Detroit? Let us know. Now I got a question for you, Nate. Hold on. Right before we get to this comment, at this comment. Now I want to see Tate start at center, but he never took a single snap at center at Georgia. Just feels more impactful than any coach lost. Yeah, I was just going to ask you that question. Frank Ragnow. Him retiring at the last minute,
man,
like literally 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
So we hit on my number one question, which is coaching. My number two, or one, 1A, 1B, is this offensive line shuffle that we're going to have, because all respect to Frank Ragnow. He's doing what's best for him and his family.
Yes.
He makes the decision to retire. Love Frank. Man, it sucks that it had to be right now, because that kind of shifts the development that you would want to see from Tate Ratledge. You would probably want to cross train him at center. Hank Fraley, the line coach, is big on cross training players. So he likes guys to be, if they're a guard, he wants them to be center versatile. If they're a tackle, he wants them to be able to play some guard. Likes versatile pieces. So it wasn't really a surprise when they started, cross training Tate at center, but it was a surprise when then that starts to look like that might be the plan. It might be the starting center when he's never played a snap a center in college even. So that's alarming. And then you put with that, you've got Graham Glasgow, who's getting up there in age, just came off not a great season at guard. He's the other option at center. He might end up being the starting center. I don't even know how that's going to play out. And then you've got so Tate is assumed to be a starter. They also took Miles Frazier, who's another guard, who's kind of a sneaky pick in the 5th round, who was I think he was the Senior Bowl voted best offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. So that's kind of a sneaky pick in the 5th round. And then Christian Mahogany, it was a late round pick who had to start in a couple spots last year. And so you're just going to be shuffling those guys, hoping the cream rises to the top, but you lose the consistency that you had with Ragnow, that leader in the center. And that's going to be a big hit to Goff.
Yes.
I wonder about the trickle down effect from that if we start getting interior pressure, you will. That can be messy, because that's, Goff wants to try to play hero ball, but he hasn't shown that he's that guy. And I would be surprised if all of a sudden he flips a switch and is able to play hero ball the way that we used to see Stafford, when he was getting hurried all over the place. But yeah, offensive line that's another huge question for the Lions right now.
Okay, so
you gotta feel a certain type of way, because I know I've seen this happen before for other teams. Frank Ragnow, you gotta have it in your head that you want to retire. It's on your mind. This dude waited until after free agency and after the draft to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm finna retire, y'all." Like, that's not cool.
There's a couple lines of thought on this. So if you want to get the splashy headline, it's that it came down to contract. He wanted a new contract. There started to be a little bit of rumble about that locally, but I don't think it's that. He's not that type of dude. Just his personality. He's like, he'd rather be fishing. He's not that type of dude to where the big contract is for him. And he lost his dad. I can't remember if it was in the draft era or when it was for him, but I think that weighs heavy on him, family, and he's got young kids. He's had so many injuries that just compound that I think he wanted to play this year, and I think he just realized his body didn't have it.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say, I mean, you got guys running back and forth through the off season, and they don't necessarily know until they know. So I can't knock them for that. I know I hate it happened for Detroit. I hate that it happened a couple of weeks ago or whatever, but you got to look inside a man's head.
I heard someone say something like, as soon as a player starts to consider that retirement's an option, it's just a matter of time. And they were asking him retirement questions at the end of the previous season, not even last season. So
if you're thinking about retirement, you're retired.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells, baby. Bill Parcells.
Yeah, that's facts right there. That's
Okay, so here's my thing, Nate. And I know we've been Detroit heavy these last 7-8 minutes, but here's the thing about that center position. You gotta hope that you guys make the same transition that we must have a Vikings fan in here. So we have a Vikings representative. He's just not on the show. He's in the group chat. for personal reasons, but he's in the group chat. So we do have a Vikings representative, but he's not on the show.
He's not on the screen.
Yeah, but that's what it is. All right, so I'm assuming you knew. If we had known about you long time ago, because we did want representative for all 4 teams on the show, we probably would have had you in. But I tell you what, if your comments are good, next year when we do the NFC North, because this is our 3rd year doing this. Next year when we do this again, hang around forever. Subscribe to the show, share with friends, and we might bring you on next year. Okay, but not this year. Sorry.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, we don't do just spur of the moment. We have to speak to the people and know them, and get to know them and vet them before we let them on the show.
Yeah.
So
that's all. That's all. It's nothing personal. It's just that's just how we operate.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to what I was saying about Detroit, you are going to need what Philadelphia went through because Jason Kelce retired, and they had moved one of their guards over to center. The difference is, though, he played center in college. I think, who was it? I don't think it was Dickinson. I think it was the other guy. What's his name? That moved to center.
From somebody
for Philadelphia.
For Philly.
Oh shoot!
It's not Dickinson.
Any NFC East notes at this point?
It's the other guy. Oh my goodness! I'm drawing a blank. It's gonna come to me later. Anyway, but he had because Kelce had retired. They had drafted 2 centers and put them both at guard. It was Dickinson and the other guy, and the other guy moved in the center as soon as Kelce retired. Also, Dallas, they drafted Cooper Beebe, and he didn't have much center experience either. And he had a pretty solid rookie season this past year. So it can happen. I'm not promising or guaranteeing that it's successful, but it can be successful.
I think the thing that's different is the time to prep, right? With Philly, they were in the building. They were a guard. You had to think that they had been doing some cross training with him. It's just, that's the thing that I don't think that we have the luxury of in Detroit is it's just, man, I don't know how that's going to work. I think that might be my number one concern. I've talked myself out of being concerned about the coaches. The O-line scramble is what's got me nervous.
No, and hey, listen, I understand because O-line is crucial. And you talking about having Jared Goff play Superman. I don't think that's the best thing. Oh, Cam Jurgens, that's the name. Cam Jurgens for the Eagles.
That's
what you call it? I can't see Jared Goff being Superman because I always refer back to when he played for the Rams in that Super Bowl against New England. And when he saw a coverage he had never seen before, that dude froze twice in the Super Bowl. I mean, literally twice. I think the run game and system between McVay when he's with the Rams and now Ben Johnson's gone, but you get what I'm saying. Ben Johnson, I think, has helped out Goff tremendously. He's not out there playing. He's not being Superman, and that's and to me that's one of the things a lot of teams need to learn is to not always have your quarterback play Superman 24/7, 365. Pick your spots for him to have to do that. So I don't think Jared Goff is a guy that you throw the ball 45 times and say, "Look, go save this team now." I don't think that's not the way to go. But you are going to figure out the offensive line and how to make things work week in and week out.
So moving on to the Packers, there was a head-scratching move this all season, and it happened in the draft. I don't understand the drafting of Matthew Golden. I have not been able to get around that. And first, let me say this. I don't think Matthew Golden is a bad player. I think he's phenomenal. Let me preface with that. But when you have a wide receiver room as deep as the Packers, it doesn't seem like wide receiver is a imperative, in the first round of draft. I mean, you got Romeo Doubs, who's been phenomenal for them. You just added McCall Hardman. You got Jaden Reed, number 11. Christian Watson, and then Dontavian Wicks. You got those guys, and then you're gonna throw like it's a log jam at receiver. And this is just a preemptive prediction, but I feel like either at the cut date or before, either by then or at the trade deadline, look for one of these receivers to be on the trade block.
I agree.
Because it's like, but why? But the thing is, why? That wasn't a.
So let me ask you a question.
Why did you waste a draft pick on him is what you're saying?
Let me ask you a question. And I'm going to direct this to Twan, even though he's a Bears fan. Do y'all think, and Twan can answer this first, do y'all think they legitimately had an ankle wide receiver on the roster?
No. I think that's why they wouldn't got Golden. I think that's the reason why they expect him to be a big splash.
That wasn't the right one then. I'm just gonna be honest. The Matthew Golden, I don't feel like can be number one wide receiver. Like he's not gonna be your alpha dog receiver. I don't see it.
Man, that's rough because that's the whole thing. Like that, I felt like the golden pick was the indictment of like all the Packers talk that I've heard of. We've got all these one wide receivers. That's why we're so deep. But then when you make the golden pick, it's like, well, maybe your office doesn't think that you've got a one, and Golden's supposed to be that. So if you're saying that he's not a one, then what are they doing?
Well, like Jay Weezy said on his previous comment, you can put it back up there, Brandon. None of their wide receivers are ones. There's a bunch of twos and threes. Now, can you win like that? Sure, you can. But there's nobody in that receiving room that's like, oh yeah, that's the man right there. There's not a Jay Jetta. There's not a CD Lamb. There's not a
Chase,
a Jamar Chase in that room. That where it's the clear cut number one guy. That's the man right there. But all of them play well. Now I'm thinking, they used to call it in the military. You call it accuracy by volume, where you just carpet bomb a whole area and hope you get what you're trying to hit. I think that's what they're trying to do. But again, Prolific Rambo, what up, cuz? That's my cousin. He put a comment up. It's like, I think it was a reach. They took two wide receivers in the draft, and that was not a position of need for the Packers.
Now that I agree with right there.
Yeah, it wasn't okay, he says he thinks he can be a one, but not this year. I love University of Texas players. I love them all. But I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. For University of Texas, because they're pumping out talent like crazy, especially since Steve Sarkisian been hired. Mm-hmm. Was that more Golden or was that more system? What do you think, Pando? Since you're the wide receiver guy.
Well, let me preface. Well, I prefaced it already. I think he's a great player. He has off the chart speed. His route tree is very intricate. But then if you ask the question about system, Sarkisian, that you ain't gonna get on the field for Texas if you ain't got a crisp route tree and you can't, it's like he's not gonna let you play. All those receivers that are that played for Texas this year were like, okay, dang. And I don't know, maybe that's the Green Bay way. They like, we're gonna hit you with everybody, He
really impressed me against Georgia. So that's why I was thinking the way I was thinking.
No, he's tough, man. All of them tough. And I think Green Bay's got that same philosophy. I think it's like, okay, we got a bunch of guys. They all tough. They not superstars, but they all tough.
But the Packers been like that since the 90s.
Well, no. I'm on no.
Well, hold on. No, okay. Hold on. Time out. Yes, they've had some ankle wide receivers since the 90s. I will say that. Yeah. But even going back to Sterling Sharp, yes, I agree. But they will always have been a team that will throw the football even to the third or fourth receiver.
Oh no, they spread the ball
and make him look way better than what he is. And that third, fourth receiver was somewhere else, he wouldn't even touch the field, or he would barely touch the field. So to me, that's been the Green Bay way since, like I said, the 90s.
So, yeah, when you're not looking, that third or fourth guy to get you. You know?
He will.
Yeah. So yeah, but I to the point about who the wide receivers are. I want to back up off of that and just talk about why did they go and get receivers when that wasn't. It's like you need some milk and some bread, and you go to the store and buy a bag of beans. You know what I'm saying? And you got a 50-pound sack of red beans in your pantry, and then you went out and go buy another little 1-pound sack of red beans. It's like, what are you doing? And that's why Green Bay is kind of head scratching to me. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: Jordan Love ain't got no excuses about who to throw to. You can't say he ain't got no weapons. So those excuses gonna have to go. Hey man, you got the wide receiver armada in your locker room, brother.
Plus 2 solid tight ends.
Hey, thank you. I wasn't even going there, but yes, thank you. Got the tight ends too. Now the question might be is who they got playing left guard. They brought in Aaron Banks, and they call that they blue ribbon offseason signing. Yeah, I don't know about all of that. Okay, Josh Jacobs was already eating with what they had, and the issue was pass protection. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Aaron Banks ain't that dude in pass protection. How do I know? Where did Aaron Banks come from?
San Francisco.
Thank you. Aaron Banks was a liability. Christian Watson just can't stay healthy. Yeah, but even if you take Christian Watson out of the equation, that's still a log jammed up wide receiver room.
Oh, it is. It really is.
And he might be the one, to your point, Jay Weezy, he might be the one that might be on the trade block.
Right about that.
Because it would be insane to trade Romeo Doubs. But Watson might be the one that go on the trade block, and they might take a day 3 for him.
And draft another receiver to replace him.
but I digress. Aaron Banks is not a good pass blocker. And with all these wide receivers, you obviously are making the statement that we want to throw the ball. Josh Jacobs going to be your bell cow back, which is one of the few bell cow backs in the league at this point because everybody's doing running back by committee. But if you look at the running back room in Green Bay, after Josh Jacobs, you got Chris Brooks out of Brigham Young.
Who?
Exactly. Marshawn Lloyd.
Oh, yeah, I remember that name.
Southern Cal, Emmanuel Wilson. Are you going to actually use these guys? You got 4 running backs and you got 11 wide receivers. Josh Jacobs already proved he can eat. He eats. He pulls up to the table and he brings his knife and fork. But the moves they made are saying they're contradictory, if you will, because you brought in Aaron Banks, who's a very good run blocker, but not a good pass blocker. So you're saying, well, we want to try to run the ball. That's what that statement says. But then you go off and you draft a wide receiver. You draft 2 wide receivers in the draft, as a matter of fact. And that's saying we want to throw the ball a lot. So, what is it, Green Bay? That's why I look at them side-eye. I got a really side-eye look. Aaron Banks was greatly overrated. I put him and Andrews Pete in the same category. Yes. I honestly, from that Notre Dame, I want to say, is he from Notre Dame? Yeah. But I didn't like him when we drafted him in San Francisco. Can he run block? Yeah, he's a road grader, but he's like a one-trick pony at guard. That's the issue.
Okay, so basically, you're gonna use him for inside zone and duo, and that's it. Keep
him he's barely an outside and inside zone guard, and for the run. But I don't.
Oh yeah, you definitely run a duo then.
Don't be up there trying to have your quarterback taking 5 and 7 step drops behind this guy.
Mike Martz.
No.
Mike Martz.
You don't want to do that.
Mike Martz. Hey, matter of fact, that's crazy. All 3 of y'all have had Mike Martz as your offensive coordinator.
Don't remind me, Jesus. You saw how everybody in here face twisted up when you brought his name in. All of he just started shaking their head and was like, no.
I knew he would get there eventually with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Oh my God, no.
Hey, Twan, let me ask you a question, man. This is an old question. Why y'all trade Greg Golson, man? I know the answer. I want your answer.
Why do we draft Greg Olson?
No, why'd you trade Greg Olson to Carolina? I know the answer. I want your answer. It's an old question, but I want your answer.
Because we were stupid.
But whose idea was it? I know whose idea it was.
It had to be the coach.
Which one?
Who was that before Aberfluff?
No, it was Mike Martz's fault because Mike Martz
it
don't
was
like
Mike.
It was Mike.
You know what? Because Mike Martz don't like tight ends. Yep. That's why Greg Olson wound up leaving Chicago. Yep.
And it was like, why would you do that?
A dog like Olson.
Well, one of the crazy things I ever said. I said, yo, they traded Greg Olson. I said, that's Mike Martz, yo. Mike Martz went up to the owner and tapped him on the shoulder and said, get rid of this guy. He's not gonna fit my offense.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, all three of y'all got PTSD after that scene.
Hey, don't bring that dude up, man. Don't do that.
Hey, that hurt.
Like we all got robbed by the same dude walking down the same street. He got all our wallets.
That hurt, coach. That hurt, coach.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry, guys. Hey, listen, man. Listen. We're gonna sing Kumbaya real quick, okay?
That is not funny, man. You laughing at all?
Hey, yeah, I remember this show forever. Hey, real quick. Oh, yeah, be serious. Real quick before we get to those picks, E. We got 15 people watching the show.
Okay.
We thank everybody for watching the show because usually we don't have as many people watching the show at the same time. Maybe we get to like 10 or 11, but 15.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching the show. Please like, subscribe, share this content with anybody you know. We bring authentic content. This is our week by week division talk. We cover the NFC North. We do this for 8 weeks. I think we're in week 5 or something like that. So yeah, this
lost count.
Yeah, I did too. But no, this is fun. This is fun.
I just go by the calendar. Yeah, But
all right. So let's go with picks.
Okay, so we're gonna go snake style. Tristan is somewhere in Cancun. No. Wait. Just in case certain people are watching, don't do it. Okay, I'm not going. Tristan is on vacation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bottom line.
And he didn't give us his picks, and we're gonna talk about him bad later. But we're going in this order. It'll be Brandon. Steven managed to give us his picks before he went off and did whatever he was doing. And then myself, then Twan, then Nate, and then Nate back to Twan, back to myself, like that. We're going snake style. So number 4, finishing 4th place, your prediction. Oh, before we get started, I'm sorry. People watching at home, these are our preliminary picks for who will finish, how the division will finish as of right now. Now, there will be a show the week before the regular season where we may revisit our picks and change them before the season starts. Because you never know who's going to get hit by a bus while they on the 50-yard line. Somebody in Food Runner got arrested because they got a Tickle Me Elmo hanging off the goalpost of the Houston Summit. Whatever. Indecency. Whatever.
Or basically they can be gun under the seat guys. So
right. So we don't know. That's why we always have that one show. It's like, okay, we go division by division, and Brandon might say, nope, I'm standing pat. Or I'm saying, well, I'm changing 2 and 3. I'm swapping them for the, so that's how we do. But right now, based on what we know, the information that we have right now, that these are these picks. Brandon, number 4, 4th place in the NFC North.
Ooh, y'all ready for this one? Go, Pack, go, number 4.
Okay. He has the Packers finishing 4th.
Here's the reason why.
Okay.
I still don't know who Jordan Love is. I love your run game. Like I said, I love the run scheme. Josh Jacobs, that running back. We don't know who your number 1 receiver is yet. And defensively, I just don't like it enough. Green Bay, number 4.
All right. Steven is up, and he said the Vikings would finish last in the division. He doesn't have his reasons for it because he's not with us on the air tonight. Myself, I picked the Vikings last. And as much as I like the Vikings and how they're loaded with talent, the question mark is at quarterback. McConnell is a good coach, but the question is at quarterback. The roster's set. It's ready to go. That defense is nice. The running game, you don't have to worry about just Jones anymore. You have J.P. Mason that's going to be splitting time with him, who almost had 1,000 yards coming in for an injured Christian McCaffrey last year. So, but I want to be clear. If I'm picking you third or fourth place in this division, your team, I'm not saying they suck because this division
is loaded.
And in my opinion, it's going to be the toughest contested division in the NFC. Quite possibly, you could see 3 teams going to the playoffs in this division. You could. But that's what I'm going to say the Vikings with an asterisk because any one of these teams could be last place. But I'm just gun to my head, I'm going to go Vikings. Twan, number 4.
Minnesota, just duly strictly because of quarterback.
Okay. So the established quarterback. And this dude could turn around and be Jaden Daniels.
He could be.
He could be a fool. We just don't know. Nate, number 4.
All right. So I was listening to all of yours because I had not actually picked who I was going to put in 4th yet. So I was trying to get convinced. So much apologies to Twan. I am going to put the Bears in 4th because I put Minnesota in 4th last year and they messed around and won 14 games with Sam Darnold.
Well, that sounds good to me.
What I learned from that is not that Sam Darnold is a great quarterback. I don't expect big things from him in Seattle. What I learned is that Kevin O'Connell is a hell of a coach and can scheme up an offense. So even with a redshirt rookie McCarthy at quarterback, I think the Jordan Mason pickup is big because you don't want Aaron Jones carrying a full load for that team. I just think they find a way. It's going to be close between the entire division. Let's just leave it at that. I think it's going to be close. No disrespect to the Bears, but there's going to be growing pains, and I just can't watch Ben Johnson have immediate success. I can't see that myself. If they win the division, you might not hear from them next year. So.
Salute, my brother.
All right. Nate, you're up again. Sam Darnold was slanging them picks at Seattle. He's gonna be slanging them in the NFC West too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Nate, you're up again.
Oh, that's right. I'm back. All right. So I've already hinted at it. We're gonna go. Oh man, yeah. Minnesota's got to be number 3. Minnesota's got to be number 3. I think rookie quarterback still gonna struggle. Similarly, Caleb's in his 2nd year, but has a new offensive scheme to deal with. So I think I'm just going to kind of put the younger quarterbacks at the bottom of the division. We will go with Minnesota.
Okay. Twan, number 3.
Green Bay.
Okay.
Green Bay, simply because the other teams are just tougher as far as defense. I think we're going to show a lot of colors on Love. 2 colors.
Okay. All right, my turn. I have the Bears at number 3. And here's why. Because this is something that I didn't get a chance to get to. Where's my notes? God dog it. I had it right here. Y'all should see my desk. The Bears have this. I know this by heart. I'm trying to get the other teams. But the Bears have
toughest division.
The toughest strength of schedule in the entire league. Okay, and then you on top of that, you're installing a new scheme. It takes time for that to gel. Okay, so is the roster better? Yeah. Is the coaching better? Damn sure better than Eberflus because honestly, you don't put a young quarterback with a defensive-minded coach. Usually it does not work. 9 times out of 10 doesn't work. Sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't work. And again, this is the Bears with an asterisk because it could easily flip. This could be Minnesota right here in this spot in Bears last place. But I have a lot of faith I'm gonna put it like this: I have more faith in Caleb Williams' skill set than I do in JJ McCarthy's, and
Okay.
that's the reason why I have the Bears a slight edge over the Vikings. But again, it could flip. That's my 4-3 could flip. Okay. Going to Steve. Steve has the Packers as well at number 3. I'm assuming for the same reasons that Twan brought up. Brandon, number 3.
You know what? You convinced me, man. Just off the strength of schedule problem for the Bears, man, and installing stuff, I gotta put the Bears at 3. When your schedule's that difficult and your installs is brand new, you know, like you said, it takes time for it to gel, chemistry, new offense, new defense. Dennis Allis, the defensive coordinator. He'll do a few things differently than what Eberflus did, but not too much. But yeah, that's gonna blame you in 3rd place, in my opinion.
Okay, back on you, Brandon. Number 2.
Minnesota. The only problem I have is just JJ McCarthy is a first year starter. Even though he's the 2nd year in the league, but he missed the entire season last year. But 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end. Good offensive minded coach. Brian Flores. Listen, Brian Flores is one. I got a lot of favorite. You know what? I'm gonna do that one day on my own. I'm gonna put down my favorite defensive minded coaches ever. This is just me. But anyway, I love Brian Flores, and I hope he gets another head coaching job eventually. Like I said, I'm just interested in seeing what he's going to do, since he loves to blitz a lot. But you added 2 good 3 techs in Javon Hargrave and John Fowler. I just want to see what that looks like.
Okay, so Steve has the Bears finishing 2nd in the division, which more than likely means making the playoffs. I have the Packers in 2nd place.
Okay.
Finishing again, very, very, very tight division. Very tight. I'm talking about maybe a game apart. Like, you know, one team might be 11 in this, the next team might be 10 in this, the next team, you know, it might be like that. It might be that far, that closely contested. I have the Packers there, but they could easily be overtaken by a better defense with the Vikings and an improved offense, because I don't believe in the Packers defense that much, and improved offense by the Bears. So I'm giving reasons why I think they could get up there, but I also give reasons why they could not be there. Okay. So yeah, I have the Packers at number 2. Twan, number 2.
The Bears. I'm rolling the dice on the running game and think, well, I'll follow up on the next pick.
Okay, well, we kind of know what it is, but Nate.
Well, I'm gonna throw a question to Twan real quick, if that's okay. So that running game, how much is Caleb going to play into that? Do you think Ben Johnson, you know, likes the idea of having a little bit more mobile quarterback than Jared Goff?
I really do.
Good question. That was a very good question.
Because I don't have much faith in Swift being a former, he was drafted by the Lions. I saw the good and bad of Swift. I think he's kind of been that. His vision is lacking. But you've got what's his name? Johnson. Roshan?
Yeah, Rashawn Johnson. Yes, yeah. Somebody had mentioned him early in the show.
Yeah, I think he'll take a little step up, but I'll be curious to see how they use Caleb's mobility to kind of move that offense forward.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Play action rollout. Boot.
Nate, number 2.
Number 2. So solely because the entirety of my memory, maybe not when I was the tiniest of children, but the Packers have always been a thorn in the side. They've always been good. Quarterback play is always good. I think Jordan Love is a good enough quarterback. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Brett Favre. I think he's a better human being than both of those scumbags. But
like this guy.
I don't love LaFleur as a coach. I think he's a little bit of a hothead, but just because the Packers live to inflict pain on me, I'm going to say Packers at 2.
Okay. So basically, because we don't have to go down everybody's picks. Everybody has picked the Lions to basically win. Gold standard to win the Super Bowl for quarterback needs a season of 102 rating, 2.2 total TD per games, and 66.3% completion rate. Okay, so we have an analytics person in the chat, Melon Smasher. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and bring a friend. But I think we've all unanimously picked the Lions. I'll go ahead and start and why I think the Lions are number one and could finish at the top. Again, closely contested division. But the biggest thing for me is a C word called continuity. That roster is battle tested. They've been to an NFC championship and was like inches away from winning it. If it had been for Dan Campbell trying to prove how big his testicular fortitude was.
And Kendall Vildor with the header to Brandon Ayuk in the end zone.
Yeah, that one too. But we thank you for that. But yeah, I think the continuity, especially with what Nate said about the offensive coordinator being there when that offense was installed, I think there's going to be a lot of continuity in that offense. That roster is more battle tested. And I like that's the reason why when you compare them to the other teams in the division, they have the most continuity and they have the more battle tested roster. So I got the Lions winning this division, but by inches because the other teams are creeping up on them like nobody's business. Nate, because you're the Lions fan, we're gonna let you close it out. So Brandon.
Lions, of course, number one, just because, like you said, they battle tested, man. That roster has been through a lot together, which means the chemistry on that roster is beyond crazy. The only thing I have concern about is the center position, but you can work around that if you need to. And I'm sure Detroit's going to try to figure that out quickly within the first 2 or 3 games of the season because they don't want to miss the opportunity. They know that this roster is as close as this. Probably this got to be the best roster since like golly. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the best roster in a long time. Okay, so they still trying to get to the Super Bowl and win one. But really, all this change has started when the current principal owner took over because she took over a summer before a season, and then went through that season and then hired Brad Holmes to be the general manager and Dan Campbell to be the head coach. So.
And they've been doing nothing but improving each
year. That's so. Shout out to your principal owner, Nate. She's doing a fantastic job, and she must see the vision that Holmes and Campbell see. So I know that Detroit's going to try to capture that Super Bowl. Real quick before we go to our next person. Green Bay won the division. LaFleur 70 wins in 6 seasons, 3 playoff wins. Love third-year starter in LaFleur's system. 25 touchdown passes in 13 games. That's good. My only problem is just the touchdown passes. I know you said 2.2 touchdowns. I need a little bit more from a quarterback, and but that's 13 games. So I guess
I need more from the defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't like the defense. I really don't.
In comparison to the other defenses, like
Yeah, I don't
think that. I think they can score with anybody. I just don't think they can stop some teams.
Right.
One other weird stat on the Green Bay Packers is, if I saw it right and if I got it wrong, I'm sorry, but I think they led the NFC North in drop rate with all the wide receivers that they have.
Really?
I want to say that they were north of 6% drop rate. You'll have to fact check me on that. The person who put all the stats in there, but even with all the wide receivers they got, it wasn't all on Jordan Love. So
and see, that's a problem I have. You don't have an established anchor wide receiver. You have receivers, but you don't have that guy.
Actually, it was the Chicago Bears.
Oh, the Bears did? Oh, dang.
Yeah, it was 60.5. Yeah. But Green Bay was third from the top. They were 50%.
So still bad.
It was still pretty bad. Yeah. It was Bears, Giants, Packers. So you weren't
sorry, Twan, you caught a stray on that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Twan, tell us why the Lions are winning the division this year.
I didn't say winning. I said we'll start off first place.
They was gonna start, but your pick.
I honestly think we're gonna overtake them in the second half of the season.
So, are you saying that the Bears are gonna win a division?
I'm saying the Bears are gonna win a division.
Okay, so what we were asking was how was the division gonna end?
Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. So no, I put Detroit at 2 and Bears at 1 then.
Okay, all right. So that's still interesting. Tell us why.
Because again, I think by the time the middle of the season comes, we'll be jailed and everybody will be on their jobs. And with the new coach, man, the ceiling is so high. With Ben as the coach, man, it's just so high. And I'm looking for it to take place after the second half. Well, by the second half of the season.
Okay. So we do not have a unanimous pick for the division.
Ooh, we got some trash talking.
Bears has no chance of winning the division. Oh wow! Hello, John. Oh, welcome to the show. Oh boy, these are all Packers fans. Thank you, Packers fans, for joining us. Could you please make sure that you hit
right on time? They joined right on time, didn't they?
and subscribe button, please. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe. But yeah,
okay.
That's well, we know how this division goes. We know this is a hotly contested division. Even if all four, and there have been times where all four teams were awful for pretty much, or 3 of the 4 were awful, but it was still like they played like it was a Super Bowl when they played each other. Like they played hard. This is not a coincidence that they call this the black and blue division. Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting division race to watch. I firmly believe that they could possibly be 3 teams coming out of this division going into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting. Next week, we'll be covering the other black and blue division, which will be the AFC North. If you are a fan of any of the teams in the AFC North, we already have Pittsburgh covered. But if you are Cleveland or Cincinnati or Ravens fan would like to be a guest on our show next week, make sure to hit us on any of our social media platforms. And Brandon's going to tell you about it as we close the show. And have us let us know, hey, I want to be Brandon.
Sorry, my bad.
Brandon, y'all notice when I be talking, Brandon, I always put the comments up in the middle of my thought. And then he just, y'all, I'm old. I can't keep my thought. I can't, and he put the comments up right when I'm talking, and then I get sidetracked. And see what he doing?
Oh.
So, but anyway, if you'd like to be a guest on our show and you're a fan of any of the AFC North teams, just like these gentlemen here, they let us know, hey, we want to be on the show. We're like, cool, come on. And Nate is a returner from last year. Antoine, this is his first time on the show. If you watch some of our other shows, Antoine has been in the comment box on a lot of our shows. He's one of our regulars. This is his first time on camera on the show, so welcome. But yeah, this is how we do it on Just a Fan Podcast. We believe in substance and not sensationalism. Like some other content creators, they just say anything just to get clicks. We are not a clickbait channel. We don't believe in that in Just a Fan Podcast. We'd rather grow our subscriber base organically and not just through clickbait. So For those of y'all who have tuned in, who always watch us, thank you, first of all, because y'all are lifeblood. For those of you who are new and this is your first time watching the show, please make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you because you're helping our sub list grow. And we really appreciate you for that. Thank you so much. And tell a friend. Bring a friend with you next time we go live. We go live every Monday at 8:15 Central Standard Time, 9:15 Eastern. Brandon, take us out.
All right. So you all have went through week 5 of our 8-week division by division talk. Like he just said, we finished NFC North. Next week we cover the AFC North. If you're a Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns fan, let us know, and we will talk to you and see if we think you qualify to be on our show. Okay. Thanks to our guest Twan, who's a Bears fan. Bear down.
Bear down.
All right. And then Nate, year 2, back-to-back NFC. You know, that's interesting. Back-to-back NFC North champion, Detroit Lions, and now you on our show back-to-back years. So does this mean you guys won another division title because you've been on our show again?
Yeah. Listen, I didn't get to say mine. I know I talked plenty, so I don't need to talk anymore. But picking the Lions because they were 15-2 with 15 people plus on the IR. If we can do that with that many injuries, then what's to say we don't do it again?
And that's another thing too. They do get Aiden Hutchinson back.
The man makes
He's back.
They get Aiden Hutchinson back, so that's huge.
Man, he makes nothing but good points. Like,
yeah,
he's eyebrow raising points. Also, special shout out to I'm not gonna say your real name on here, but Jay Weezy 2912. He was our Vikings fan. He was at work. And he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna chime in. I can't be on the camera because I'm at work, but I'm gonna listen to the podcast and I'm gonna give my 2 cents. Thank you. Next year we want you on camera, dog. All right. So thank you again.
So thanks for everybody. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can follow us on Twitter, IG, TikTok, and Facebook. That's Panel 316, the good guy with the black hat. Coach Williams, the NFL Encyclopedia, Wildcat quarterback that runs this whole thing. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Peace out.
All right, brothers.